Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive. Should Netflix be in your portfolio?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is, and we're going to find out today. We've got their financials, their market position, those exciting new ventures like gaming.
We even dug into some of their history. Did you know they actually tried to sell to Blockbuster back in the day for a cool 50 million?
What, 50 million?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, Blockbuster turned them down. Can you imagine what they must be thinking now?
Oof. I bet someone's got some regrets, but hey, that just shows you how Netflix is always ahead of the curve.
Exactly. They saw the potential of streaming before almost anyone else, and that kind of vision, that's something we want to see in any company we're thinking about investing in.
Absolutely. So to kick things off, let's dive into their financials. How are they doing numbers-wise?
Okay, well, according to TipRanks, their next quarter sales forecast is projected to be over $10 billion.
10 billion.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It is, and they have a pretty strong track record of beating those sales estimates, too. They've been outperforming their industry for a while now.
Okay, so the financials look pretty good, but let's be real. The streaming market is a jungle out there. How are they holding up against the competition?
It's tough, but they're holding their own. One of their big strategies has been investing heavily in original content, like Stranger Things, Squid Game, all those big hits.
Ah, so they're trying to create shows that you can't watch anywhere else.
Exactly. It's
Huh.
all about attracting and keeping those subscribers engaged.
Makes sense, but all that original content, it can't be cheap to make.
It's a big investment, but it seems to be paying off. And they're not just churning out shows either. They're focused on quality. They've won Emmys, Golden Globes, Oscars. It shows they're serious about making great content.
Which helps build a reputation.
Yeah.
I get it. But speaking of big investments, they're really making a push into gaming now. Is that a smart move or a risky gamble?
Well, it's a bit of both. The gaming industry is huge, but it's also incredibly competitive.
So how are they planning to make a splash?
They've been on an acquisition spree lately.
Ah.
They've snapped up some really talented gaming studios like Next Games and Boss Fight Entertainment.
So they're bringing in the experts, huh?
Yeah, that's the strategy, but it remains to be seen how it'll all play out in the long run.
All right, so we got strong financials. They're a powerhouse in the streaming world, but they're also facing fierce competition and taking a big swing with gaming. It's a mixed bag so far.
It is, and we've only just scratched the surface.
Right. We still need to talk about their valuation. Is the stock overpriced, or is there potential for a bargain?
Well, valuations, they can be a bit tricky. They go up and down with the market and depend on so many factors. But you know what's interesting?
That's that.
If you look back at Netflix's history, they've consistently shown this knack for disruption. They're not afraid to shake things up, and that can be a really good sign for investors.
Like that whole Blockbuster thing we talked about earlier?
Exactly. They had the foresight to see where things were going and made the leap to streaming when a lot of people doubted them.
They were way ahead of the curve, and that kind of forward thinking is definitely something you want to see in a company you might invest in.
Absolutely. It shows they're adaptable and innovative, and those are qualities that can lead to big rewards down the line.
Okay, so we've talked about their financials, their position in the market, and their knack for making bold moves. But let's be honest, what everyone really wants to know is, are they a good investment? Should we buy Netflix stock?
Ah, the million-dollar question.
Right, is it a buy, hold, or sell?
Well, like with any investment, there's no easy answer. It all depends on your individual goals, your risk tolerance, your overall investment strategy.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Not at all. But to help you figure that out, let's break down the pros and cons of owning Netflix stock.
Okay, let's start with the good stuff. What are the arguments in favor of investing?
Well, their track record is pretty impressive. Their financial performance has been strong. They've consistently delivered growth, and they hold a dominant position in that global streaming market we talked about.
Plus, they're not afraid to innovate, which, as we said, could lead to even more growth down the road.
Exactly. They're always looking for the next big thing.
But it's not all sunshine and roses,
Right.
right? What are some of the potential downsides?
Well, competition is definitely a major factor. Their success hinges on their ability to maintain and grow that subscriber base. And there are a lot of other streaming services vying for those same viewers.
And those price hikes they've implemented recently, not to mention the crackdown on password sharing, that's got to have some subscribers thinking twice.
It could, and it's a delicate balancing act. They need to generate revenue to fuel their content and expansion, but they also need to keep their subscribers happy.
So it's a bit of a tightrope walk.
It is, but that's the nature of the beast in this industry.
So strong financials, innovative ventures, those are definitely appealing. But the intense competition and potential for subscriber pushback, Those are things you can't just ignore.
Exactly. It's a nuanced picture, and it's important to weigh all these factors carefully.
To help us get a clearer picture, let's dig into some more specifics.
Sounds good. Let's start with their services business. It's another way they're diversifying those revenue streams we were talking about.
Oh, right, like all that Stranger Things merchandise I keep seeing everywhere. Pretty clever way to capitalize on the popularity of their shows.
It is, they're creating a whole ecosystem around their content, tapping into their massive fan base. We're talking merchandise collectibles, even partnerships like that book club series they did with Starbucks. It's a smart way to engage viewers beyond just the screen.
Definitely. And their impact, it goes beyond just entertainment too, right? I've read about their investments in content creation, which creates jobs and boosts economies all over the world.
That's right. They're a significant economic force investing billions in productions that create opportunities in the film and television industries globally.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good understanding of their financial performance, their market position, and their efforts to diversify. But for those of us who are, actually building our portfolios, there are a few more key things to consider.
Absolutely. Things like dividend policy and share buybacks,
Yeah.
those can play a significant role in our investment decisions.
So let's start with dividends. Do they offer regular payouts to shareholders?
As of right now, Netflix does not pay dividends. They're choosing to reinvest those profits back into the company to fuel further growth.
So not ideal for income-focused investors, but it makes sense if they're prioritizing expansion. What about share buybacks?
They have engaged in share buybacks in the past, which can potentially boost the stock price by reducing the number of outstanding shares.
Okay, so that's something to keep an eye on, but it's not a guaranteed strategy, right?
Right, it can fluctuate over time.
Gotcha. So those are some additional factors for potential investors to consider. But we can't forget about ESG, those environmental, social, and governance factors. Exactly. So where does Netflix stand on those ESG issues?
Well, they've received recognition for their efforts in promoting diversity and inclusion both in front of and behind the camera.
So they're walking the walk.
It seems so, and they've also made public commitments to reduce their carbon footprint, aligning with those environmental sustainability goals.
Okay, so they seem to be taking those ESG factors seriously, which is definitely a plus for a lot of investors.
It is for many.
So we've covered a lot of ground, from their impressive financial performance to their forays into new markets, and even their commitment to those ESG principles. There's a lot to unpack when you're considering Netflix as an investment.
There is. It's a multifaceted company.
But before we wrap up, I want to touch on their history a little more. After all, understanding where they've come from can offer some valuable clues about where they might be headed.
I agree. Their past decisions and strategies, they can offer valuable insights into their company culture, their approach to growth.
For example, their early struggles during the dot-com bubble and their bold decision to pivot to streaming those moments reveal a lot about their resilience and their willingness to adapt.
Exactly. Those experiences likely shaped their approach to risk-taking and their ability to navigate uncertainty.
And that brings us to the big question: is Netflix a good fit for your portfolio?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And like with any investment, there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Of course, it all comes down to your personal financial goals,
Yeah.
your risk tolerance, your overall investment strategy.
Exactly. But let's recap what we've learned about Netflix so far to help you make that decision.
Sounds good.
Well, we've seen that Netflix has this really impressive history of innovation. They've adapted from, DVDs to streaming, and now they're venturing into gaming.
They really have a knack for disrupting the entertainment industry, and they seem to come out on top.
Right, and their financials look really strong. They're consistently beating those sales estimates, and their global subscriber base just keeps growing.
But we can't forget about the challenges they're facing either, like that competition. It's fierce out there.
Yeah, other streaming giants are definitely vying for those same viewers.
And those price hikes they've rolled out recently, plus the crackdown on password sharing, that's got to have at least some subscribers second-guessing.
It could. It's a risk they're taking, but they're also diversifying their revenue streams with things like that services business we talked about and their gaming ventures.
So there's a lot to weigh here. Strong financials, a history of innovation, but also that intense competition and potential for some pushback from subscribers.
It's a balancing act for sure, but that's what makes investing so interesting. It's all about assessing those risks and rewards to find the opportunities that really align with your investment style.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, we're just scratching the surface here before making any investment decisions. You really need to do your own research. dig deeper into Netflix's financials and really consider how they fit into your overall portfolio strategy,
Absolutely. Don't just take our word for it.
right? And speaking of digging deeper, let's not forget that the future of entertainment is constantly evolving. Things are always changing.
That's true. What trends do you think Netflix needs to stay on top of to maintain their edge?
Hmm. That's a great question. They seem pretty adaptable,
Yeah.
but I'm curious about what their next big move will be. They went from DVDs to streaming now into gaming. What could be next?
Yeah. That's the exciting part we don't know. But that ability to anticipate and adapt to change, that's what makes them such an intriguing investment.
You've got a point. They've definitely got their finger on the pulse of the entertainment industry.
They seem to.
So to wrap things up, is Netflix a buy?
Well, we've laid out the facts, the good and the bad. Now it's up to you to decide if it's the right fit for your portfolio.
And if you want to dive deeper into Netflix or any other stocks, be sure to check out our YouTube channel.
We break down complex topics just like this all the time.
And we love hearing from you guys, so leave a comment. Let us know what other companies or industries you'd like us to cover.
Until then, happy investing.
So we've reached the end of our deep dive into Netflix View.
We covered a lot of ground, didn't we?
We did, from those blockbuster beginnings to their global streaming dominance and even their adventures into the world of gaming.
We talked about their impressive financials, but also the fierce competition they face.
And let's not forget those all-important ESG factors.
Right, investors are really paying attention to those these days.
So is Netflix a stock you should be adding to your portfolio?
Well, ultimately, that decision is yours to make.
It is. We've given you the information, the insights. Now it's time for you to weigh the pros and cons and see if Netflix aligns with your investment goals.
And your risk tolerance, don't forget that.
Exactly. Investing always involves some level of risk.
Absolutely.
So do your research, folks. Make sure you understand the company and the industry before making any decisions.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for more in-depth discussions on stocks and other investment topics.
We're always looking for new ideas. So let us know in the comments what other companies or industries you'd like us to cover.
We love hearing from you guys.
Until next time, happy investing, everyone.